Have you ever wondered if you are causing problems in your practice as an owner or as a manager? Have you ever thought to yourself if possibly some of your actions, some of your habits, some of your processes are actually harming the rest of your team? I'm going to share a quick story in this video that explains one of the things that I was doing inadvertently that was harming our team. And hopefully, you don't make the same mistake we make. So, I'm going to share my mistakes so you don't make the same mistake as well. The other day, I get a phone call from one of our team members, and they needed to mail a online product order out. And unfortunately, neither myself nor my wife, who's my partner, neither of us were there in the clinic that day. Because usually we would just give them the business card. They would go, they would mail the product, come back and bring the business card. But both my wife and I were out of town, so they didn't have either of our cards. I proposed that I could cash app them some money, and they could pay for the postage with the money that I cash app them. And I thought this was a very reasonable setup. However, when I end up speaking to one of our team members, she expressed her concern that she didn't feel comfortable using her own personal card. And, that's very reasonable. That's very understandable. And she had been feeling this way for a while. However, I didn't know about it. And so when I said that I could cash app her the money for the postage, it was, $10 or $11 or something to mail the product out. She didn't necessarily want to do that. And we found a solution. We found a workaround to be able to figure this out. But what I realized was I wasn't thinking through this entire process from our team members' perspective. The fact that we were expecting them to go to the post office and pay for the postage using their personal card, that the fact that made them uncomfortable. I just never thought about that because in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm sending them the money. They don't have to worry about paying for it on their own. It's actually our money. And I record that sending of the money. That's how I record that transaction on the QuickBooks. So I can still track it and everything works out well. They wanted to use cash out of the cash box. Now, we've recently been working with a consultant who's helping us with our cash flow management. And she broke it down to us and said that is a no-no. You don't want to be pulling cash out of the cash box to use for incidental expenses and all those different things because it messes up your bookkeeping, it messes up your daily close process, and ultimately it could embolden some team members to steal. I don't think that we have any team members that would steal, but she was saying that it could embolden team members to steal. And so we have two issues, right? I'm looking at it from a cash flow management process. I don't want people taking cash out of the cash box. I want to make sure that we can protect the cash flow process on that end. The employee, the team member is looking at it from their standpoint where they don't feel comfortable using their own personal card to do business transactions, to do transactions for the business. And so we're looking at things from two different viewpoints. I made a video about silo mentality before, where it's so easy to get caught up in your own personal viewpoint. So as the team member is talking to me and telling me why they don't want to use their card, I'm thinking, what's the big deal? It's not your own personal money. I'm sending you the money on your card. What's the big deal about you using your card? They're looking at me from the other side saying, what's the big deal? There's hundreds of dollars right here in the cash box. I could just take the cash out and go pay for the postage. And so it made me realize that because I hadn't dived into this conversation with them on a deeper level about our system of paying for postage, because we hadn't had this conversation, it was a lot that had to be figured out on the fly. And because of that, both people were kind of in the dark, arguing for their own personal viewpoint. We found a solution that we believe was going to handle both of those issues. But I realized that because I hadn't systematically thought through this and worked through this, I was causing them stress. They were clearly frustrated. They were clearly upset with the process. They didn't understand why I was being so by the book on something as simple as, hey, it's just cash in a cash box. And one thing is, I don't expect them to understand the whole process of cash flow management and our need to systematize our cash flow management, because that's not their job. But it is my job to communicate to them why we're doing things and to make sure they understand step by step how that whole process works in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture. And so this was a mistake I made. Here's one thing I would recommend for you. Here's kind of the key takeaway. Make sure that you have a systematic way to do even the smallest things in your practice, like mail out a product. How do you pay for postage? And whenever you come across something that is not systematic, don't just put a Band-Aid on it. Because one thing I was thinking is I could have did a bunch of different things that put a Band-Aid on it, a one-time solution. I could have said, okay, just this one time, go ahead and take some cash, but we're not going to do it anymore. That's putting a Band-Aid on it. So now the next time the situation comes up when they have to mail a product and neither myself or my wife are there, they're stuck again. So that would be number one. Make sure that you come up with a systematic solution for systematic problems or for reoccurring things that are going to come up over and over again. And I think another big point is to understand that there are so many things in your practice that require a system. It's almost impossible to create right from the beginning one time to create a system that takes care of everything and it's done. That's almost impossible. So you're going to have to oftentimes systematize. This is what we found. You have to systematize problems and issues oftentimes as they come up. I didn't know that this whole paying for postage was a problem until it was. And then I was able to, we were able to figure out and talk through how to fix and work through this problem. And so that's the second key takeaway point. And the third key takeaway point is when you're coming up with a systematic solution, to involve the involved parties, to involve the people who are going to be actually carrying out this process, right? And so when we came up with a solution, the solution we came up with was we got some reloadable Visa gift cards. And now we're going to keep that reloadable Visa gift card with the admin staff at the front desk. So when they need to pay for postage, they already have a payment option in place. And this decision was created with myself and the admin team all putting our heads together. And so now they know that it reinforces the fact that we're listening to them. It reinforces the fact that we also recognize that as management and as owners, we don't have it all figured out. We're going to make mistakes, but we're willing to collaborate together to find a solution. And so it also gives them more buy-in to the solution because they know they were a part of the solution. And so this is one of those, don't make the same mistake I made, whether it's how to pay for postage or any other small task around your clinic. Make sure that you have a system in place. If you don't have a system in place for every single process in your practice, that's not the end of the world. You're not going to get it all at one fell swoop. But make sure that when a problem comes up, you solve it systematically. So you only have to solve it one time. And now moving forward, there's already a system and a process in place so that situation doesn't come up over and over and over again.
What other specific topics related to the business of private practice management would you like for us to cover? Please share in the comments below or reach out to us on social media or our email address, thedermbiz@gmail.com. Our mission is to create a movement of collaboration and support amongst physician-owned private practice owners. If you would like to join that movement, again, don't forget to like, share, comment, and please don't forget to subscribe.